This is a fantastic game played a few days ago by Magnus Carlsen white against Fedoseev black online. So Magnus go with e4 and then there was a Caro-Can. But then d3 played, and here white will be happy if black were to take on e4 because you go into the end game like that, and let's say after this move you play c3 and king c2 and you develop and you have a strong center. So in this position black went with e6. So they played a few moves and now it looks like a King's Indian attack. So that's typical, where we have the bishop on g2, the knight will go to h2, h4 will be played, bishop f4. That's a King's Indian attack. So here Bobby Fischer played that setup for white, and he always played a2, a3. So actually I'm gonna show you what the most famous game by Bobby Fischer was. He played that in 1967. It's a very famous game. So you have here the moves on the left, and on the right you have the famous combination. So Fischer was white and he played that system. So let me show you very quick, because that's very important, because that's a system used by Magnus Carlsen. So in that famous historical game they started like a French defense, and this is the right move order for the King Indian attack. So this is very similar. a3 played, and now the game continued, and eventually they reached the position that I show you. And here Fischer won. Queen h6 played, threatening checkmate. Queen f8 to defend, and now queen h7, queen sack. King take, check, the king has to take, and now bishop e4, checkmate. So once again, it's a very famous game, both players know that, and you have here the entire game here. Now in the game, going back to our online game, surprisingly, even though that was a win for Fischer in that game, after a4, a3 was not played, and he started the attack with knight g4. So black plays a3, b3 played, and here we have an absolute key moment. So the computer says the best move was to play b4, and after bishop f4 you develop like that, and then you're trying to get some play with rook c8, knight a7. Or another idea would be you do knight d4, and if white takes here and play knight h2, you can simply develop like that, king h8, and then if you play knight f3, the bishop comes here, attacks here, and this pawn is weak. So knight d4 was a move, b4 was a move, but in the game c4 played, and I think this is where white starts to get the better position already. Move 15. Now h5 played, and here, because there's b4 and a3, black doesn't have any target. So what would you play with black? The computer recommends h6 here, but then queen d2, and guess what? You're gonna sack a piece and gain the attack. Let me show you how. So take, and here you have time. You can play rook ac1, followed eventually by bishop f1, and you can take here and you have a very strong attack. Because of that, Fedoseev decided not to touch the h pawn, and now h6 played, g6, and we have alpha 0 style. That pawn here, this one here, you can see that the black squares are a problem. Let's see, they exchange a few pieces, and here bishop g5. Once these two bishops disappear, white is gonna attack on the dark square, and that king here is a big target. Does white have a weakness? No weakness in white's position. The computer says it's already winning for white. So let's follow the game, and here knight f6 check, and you can see one pawn, and then the bishop's gonna come out complete domination. So here the only counterplay would be to play knight b5. So rook c5 played. And now, actually, in this position, knight e6 was winning, because if you take on e6, I'm gonna do f7 and win. f7, you cannot take with the rook because I take on b8, and if you move the king, I do checkmate. That was a little combination, but here, instead of playing knight takes e6, which is completely winning, knight f3 played, they went for the endgame, and here, once again, black is completely busted. So that was played, and now the bishop is attacked, the bishop moved, rook f7, and black resigned because you have rook g7, the king goes here, you're gonna do knight f7, the king comes here, you do knight d7, this pawn gonna promote, this pawn's gonna be lost, and there is no mate here, right, for black. If you try to do this, the king goes here, and there's no mate because you can escape on the dark square. So to sum up, after bishop g5 here, completely winning position. So that was a stellar performance by DrNykterstein against Fedoseev, played 3 days ago. Thank you for watching.